Joining us now, the guy who is responsible for putting that team around Justin Herbert and who benefits from having Justin Herbert, second-year Chargers coach Brandon Staley. Brandon, welcome back. How are you?
Great to see you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Do you still get amazed by the things Justin Herbert can do, or are you used to it by now?
I'm never going to take it for granted, that's for sure. But I'm definitely not as surprised as everybody else because I'm with him every single day. So I think when you go out there, as impressive as it is, as remarkable it is, it's unsurprising in many ways at the same time because you're with him every day, and you know the investment that he has in his game, and you're on the practice field, you're in the meeting rooms, you're in the weight room, and you just know what he's putting into his game, and you know what he puts on film on a day-to-day basis. And so when it happens, when it expresses itself on the football field, that's just kind of the the grand finale.
Yeah, we only get to see the things that happen on the field. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen him do at practice?
Well, we had this quarterback competition in the spring when Breeze was coming by practice, and we kind of had that turkey hole shot deal where you throw up the disc and try to hit it. And I mean, this guy could have thrown it through. I mean, it could have gone forever. And how hard the pace, the velocity, and Breeze was just kind of looking at Joe like, "You got this is a joke, right?" And then another one goes up and bam, and so just I think when you're on the field with him, there's just not much that he can't do.
Did you, when you took the job, you obviously knew he was good, but was it still like eye-popping a little bit when you finally saw it? Was it better, I guess what I'm saying, when you finally saw it in person?
Yeah, I think I didn't have a concept of how big he is.
Right.
And then, he's like 240, but he looks like he's 225. Like just a very well-built guy, big hands. And then I think, being a former quarterback, I just am always impressed at how effortless it is.
Yeah.
I think it's such a smooth stroke, the velocity, the spin. It's really catchable, but he can drive the ball any part of the field. He can really, I was looking like, hey, can he layer this shot? Like what kind of touches he's going to have? But I think all the shots that he can shoot, the way he can throw on the move, when the pocket's tight, the accuracy when the pocket's tight.
Right.
I think those are some things that I didn't know. And then I think the best thing about him, honestly, like just pure quarterbacking on the field, is his instincts for the position.
Yeah.
What he can see and then what he can feel. He can do both of those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes him such a special player, like on the field.
I've seen some film of you at quarterback, all right? Yeah, I did. I saw it. You're a pretty good runner, actually. I
needed to be.
The Chargers, your media team, is going around doing some videos, and I got to watch it. And they showed it. I was going, okay, I'm going to see Brandon Staley, the drop-back quarterback here. And this guy's over here, Mike, breaking ankles on people. I was like, what? He can run and make people miss? I was a little surprised.
Yeah, well, I couldn't throw it like Chris Sims, so I needed to move. I needed to move.
All right, one thing I'm always interested in asking, just as far as great defensive mind, you were on the defensive side of the ball. What was like the biggest adjustment now going from defensive coordinator to head coach? Oh, crap, I got to worry about everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think it's just really establishing that rhythm with all three phases of the game planning process and being involved in the entire plan, which is what I was excited about being a head coach. And I think, being a former quarterback, I was excited to team up with Joe and help create this offense, for Justin, Keenan, Mike, all these players. And I really enjoyed that. And then during the week, it was just, okay, from a timeline standpoint, I can't do it exactly like I did when I was the defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Sure.
Hey, teaming up with Ronaldo Hill, who's a superstar, hey, kind of establishing our rhythm of, okay, like our Hill, like this is going to be the way we approach the week. And that took some time for me. But I think I would say like after the bye, we really kind of nailed like our process. And that allowed us to operate better, and then me be connected, with the other two phases, and then the team meetings, which are so important to me, defining the week and giving the blueprint for how we're going to play this game. But I know that 1 year into it, I'm just so confident in where we're going because of who we're doing it with.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, one of the more amazing aspects of the 21 season for me was the fact that first-year head coach, defensive coordinator, becomes the face and the name of the effort to be aggressive on fourth down and go for it all the time. How have you reacted to how closely you've become associated as the guy who's ultra aggressive and always wants to go for it on fourth down?
Well, I think I think that from a mindset standpoint, that was something that was important to me. Being a former quarterback, being a defensive coordinator, know the amount of pressure that it puts on you. I think that I wanted to establish that mindset, and really just going back to my background, it's more the Bruce and Linda Staley coaching philosophy of, hey, KYP. My father used to tell me, like, know your personnel. And I think that when you have an offense like ours, you're going to try and maximize their ops to be successful. And I think that when you have a quarterback like ours, you're going to try and maximize his opportunities to be successful. And that's how you win in this league, by scoring the football. And I felt like that would put us in advantage situations. And I think that when we feel like we're in one of those situations, that we're going to be aggressive, because if it doesn't go down, we have a lot of confidence in our whole operation, to make it go afterwards. And I feel like we were really open with our players about that. And I think it did create an advantage in how we played. And, hey, going from, just first, second, third down into fourth down, that's going to change how we play. It's going to change how people defend us. And, ultimately, it's going to give us more opportunities to score. And I think as we go, I don't think that that's going to change. But I think this year specifically, we were just playing to the strength of our team, which was our offense. And I thought that, that definitely allowed us to have the season that we had this year.
How do you balance that against the need to be unpredictable? We heard Mike Tomlin say it about the Ravens when they went for 2 to try to win the game in Pittsburgh. Well, we know that that's what the Ravens do. Is there value in maybe balancing and not going for it all the time, just so the defense never quite knows what you're going to do in any given situation, if that makes any sense at all?
No, it does. I think in the Denver game, the second Denver game was a good example of that. They playing with backup quarterback, and we knew it was going to be kind of a possession game, and we kicked 2 field goals in there tight, on fourth downs that, earlier in the season that we had gone for. And I think that what I told people is that we're going to treat each of these decisions like they have a life of their own. We're not going to bank on, hey, we made this, so it's giving us house money to go for something else, or, hey, we didn't get it, hey, that's going to turn us into some conservative operation. We're just going to treat each of these decisions like they have a life of their own. That's what I've told our team. And I do think that there is that chess match that you're always trying to play. And I think that there's examples within the season both ways where we punted it or kicked it. And I think that that's always what we're going to try and do, is play that chess match and look to the other side. There's that game within the game, and you're taking in all those factors as a head coach, and I think that that's really important, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
Now, you got the other play. I mean, damn, you were analyzed maybe more than anybody in football this year, and you had a great year. I certainly don't want that to be lost. You did a lot of good things. I mean, and you're a great defensive mind that I got respect for. But the Raiders game, everybody, the timeout, right? Mm-hmm. I'm one that's with you. I mean, they were going to run the play. They weren't going to just sit there and kneel the ball and go for the tie.
Correct.
Right. And I saw your defense alignment. Yeah, they were going to run that weak side run, and you guys were going to be screwed, and they were going to get 8 or 10 yards. I know they ultimately got that. But, yeah, what do you say to some of the people out there? Or how do you handle that situation? It just – people got very critical, I think, with maybe not knowing all that was going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you don't do is you're not defensive. I mean, that the way it went down, that there's going to be criticism.
Right.
And I just think the type of criticism is like, hey, my thought process was, hey, it's 2nd and 11. We're in a nickel defense. We're in an 8-man front, and we get split on a 7-yard run.
Right.
We're +1, and you get split on a 7-yard run. And so on 3rd and 4, they've got the second team all-pro kicker who's just, 56-yarder to finish the game.
Right, he's automatic.
And so what I was trying to do is when the shot clock's going down, I know that they're slowing the game down.
Right.
When they came to the line, I was trying to see, okay, hey, they've got Renfro and Waller, 2 of the great third and, deny the ball players.
Right.
Hey, are they throwing it or running it? When they brought it down, I was like, okay, I can see that they're running it.
Yeah.
All right, let me get our premium one-back run defense in there to make sure that they don't feel like kicking a field goal is a good idea.
Right.
And I felt like, hey, if we just go execute this, we get the stop, they punt it, and we're out of there.
Right.
Or they let the clock go down and it's a tie.
Yeah.
And so that's what my process was, and I think, what they did was they did kick it. There was risk in a 47-yard field goal.
Sure.
What it would have been if it was a 51-yard field goal.
Right.
And so what my process was is like, hey, let's make this 57-58
right.
so they don't feel good about kicking it. And so that's why I put our premium one-back defense out on the field, and we didn't execute, and it didn't go down for us.
Yeah, that happens sometimes, certainly. All right, so the next phase. I mean, one thing I think people also don't realize is you took over a defense that was built for the 4-3. And, I mean, I believe, you're rooted in more of a 3-4 front, right? I mean, am I wrong about that? I mean, coming from Fangio and that, I know you're versatile.
Yeah.
But, what's the next step you're looking for your defense as far as, like, personnel-wise and what you need to make your scheme go?
Yeah, Chris, I think it's an excellent point. I think when you think about a system, you kind of think of, like, technique, scheme, and personnel.
Yeah.
And I think our systems, were very different.
Right.
And I think that, up front, like kind of what we value, and then at corner, what we value are very different.
Right.
And I think that, when you take over a team, there's 3 phases that you got to worry about, and it's not like college where you can just like, hey, turn this thing over in a year.
Yeah.
So there's a phasing into how you do things, and I think when I came here with, Dean and John Spanos, Tom Telesco, Ed McGuire, we knew that, hey, we're going to have a process in how we build our team. And so I think defensively, there was a lot of good things that we did in year 1 in terms of installing a new system. That's very different.
Yes.
But then, I think that as you go, now you're able to onboard, some personnel that you feel like can like really bring it to life. And so I think we played tough year 1. We had some, injuries in the wrong places, and that can happen in the league.
Yep.
And I think more than anything, where we got to go as a team is just becoming a deeper team.
Right.
And I think, becoming a deeper team, a more complete team, that's going to allow us to play the way, we need to play in order to be a champion.
More size up front. For people out there who don't know, right? At 3-4, you'd like to have a little more size in the middle.
I think
maybe?
Size in the interior.
Yeah.
What we value. Size, anchor, 2-on-1 blocks, and I think that allows us to play the way we want to play in the secondary.
Yeah, got you.
And then just at corner, just we value people that can play man to man.
Right.
And we value having a lot of DBs.
Right.
Because this is a passing league, and you guys are all aware of the players we have to defend, and this year was a good example of it, and especially in our division. Especially in our conference, the passing attacks you have to play, you have to be able to cover.
Ooh,
and
you got your work cut out for you.
And it's really every day in practice.
Yeah.
Like when you're on the practice field with Mike Keenan, Josh, Austin, you get and Justin's throwing it. You got to hold up on your own practice field. So
I hear you.
That's where the NFL is.
Right.
And Mike, you're in the AFC West with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and now you've got Nathaniel Hackett coaching the Broncos and Josh McDaniels coaching the Raiders. And there's the ever-present talk of Aaron Rodgers going to the Broncos. How do you, I'm very curious, how do you ignore that, or do you ignore it? Are you paying close attention to it? Because obviously that's going to complicate your effort to win the division if all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers falls out of the sky and he's the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
Well, I think, whether he's playing for Denver or he's playing for Green Bay, you're going to have to run into him at some point. And that's what my father always used to tell me, like the great players in the league, you're gonna play against them at some point, whether it's in your own division, in the end, in the playoffs, Super Bowl, you're going to play them at some point. So I think that knowing that that's outside the Chargers' control, I think what we got to be able to do is focus on our team, Mike, and I think we did a really good job of that last year. Hey, focus on our team. And making it as good as it can be, and creating a culture and identity, a way of playing that our guys believe in. And I think that, building a roster, building a team that's built to last, a team that can become a champion. And I think that we're, a lot closer to that than we were 1 year ago. And I think, like you mentioned, there's fierce competition out there, and we got to be prepared for it. And I know that we will. And I think regardless of who shows up in our division, we're going to be prepared to play against them.
And with your guy, Justin Herbert, he's been so awesome already. He's already one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Is there a ceiling significantly higher than where he is, and what are you trying to do to get him to get closer to whatever that maximum level of performance may be?
Yeah, Mike, I think last year when I first talked to you guys, he's coming off being the Rookie of the Year, and people are saying, like, what are you going to do for this quarterback? And like, what, hey, is this guy going to fall back to the, come back to the field? And I think that certainly that did not happen, and we felt like there was so much improvement in him as a player. And I think the thing about Justin is he's going to put in the work to make the improvements, and he's just at the beginning as a player. And I think Chris can attest to it. The inventory of experiences that you're able to acquire as a young guy, like, it's so meaningful because, hey, 2 years in now, he has double the experiences that he did a year ago. Now he's coming back in the same offense, which is the first time that's happened in like the last 6 years. So I'm really happy for him. And, I just think it's regardless of statistics, who knows if he's going to throw for 5,000 yards again, but it's how he plays the game. And his command of the offense, his command of the defense, his command, of our team and leading our football team. And I know that he's going to make all those improvements. And I think there is no ceiling to his play. You guys have seen him. And you guys cover the league, and you watch everybody, and you have an inventory of all the history of the league too.
Yeah.
And so everyone knows what they're seeing. And I think what's important for me is just we build a team that can bring out the best in him, because I know what he's going to bring to the table. It's us being able to, arm him, with the ammunition so he can be as good as he can be.
Yeah, he's amazing. He made our jaws drop. Every other week the whole year. One thing I'm interested, just came to my mind a little bit, just defensive game planning. And last question, I know you got to get the hell out of here, but as far as a defensive game planner, talk about what does the movement of these quarterbacks do to you? When we grew up, there just wasn't these guys. Now there's you got 3 of them in your division, or 2 of them at least, certainly. And you got to face them in the AFC, like you talked about. How does that change your kind of game planning? What does it do to stress you guys out?
Well, I think when I was with the Rams, I'm in the division with Murray and Russell, and I think you take a look at the quarterbacks in the league that are crushing it. Pat, Lamar. Josh Allen.
Right.
You got all these guys with mobility. Aaron, Murray, Wilson, all these guys. And I'm probably leaving some guys out. Just
no disrespect.
For sure. I mean, they're amazing. But I think what the mobility of the quarterbacks are doing, and then the skill of the people catching the football, is you can't have a bunch of error in the coverage, because these guys, if there's a bunch of error, these guys are going to go 80%. 350, 400 on you without even they're going to be on cruise control.
Yeah.
And I think what the mobility does is, if there's error in the coverage, they're buying more time for those guys to find even more space.
Right.
And these guys running through that space, are real. You're talking about, the Cincinnati receivers, the Kansas City,
and all that.
Stephon Diggs. These guys running through you. And so I think as a defense, and that's why I believe so much in the way we play, is you got to be connected with people, and then you got to have coverage systems that make it tough on the quarterback post snap, and I think that you got to force these quarterbacks to operate once the ball snap. And if you don't do that, if they know pre snap what's going on, you got no shot. And if there's error in the coverage, they're going to go 80%, and they're not even going to breathe hard.
Yeah, they're not going to blink.
And then with the mobility, everyone's saying, well, why don't you blitz them? Well, okay, that's a strategy, but hey, now everybody's one-on-one on the outside, and hey, now you're one-on-one. So that ultimate chess match, is why it's so challenging to defend now. But I also think it's what makes the league so special. And I think, that's what I talk about, building a complete team, though, because for you to become a champion and win 3 or 4 games, in the playoffs, you're going to have to defend. And if you don't, and you're just saying, hey, man, we're going to outscore these people, hey, there's going to be a night that you have an off night. You don't shoot it well. Hey, maybe it's snow. Hey, wind. Hey, something happens. You got to be able to win a lot of different ways. And I think that's what I talk to you guys about, being a more complete team. That's where we're headed. And that's what needs to happen for us to become a champion.
It's fun to watch, Brandon. Congratulations on a great start to your coaching career. You're one of the most fun teams to watch and cover, and we can't wait to see what you do in 2022. Thanks for some of your time. All the best, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.